If you can stamp one image, you can stamp multiple images and make the coolest background. Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and the craft/dining room. Giving you a good little shot at the craft/dining room today because I'm going mobile. I love today's card project because it turned out better than I thought it was going to, but the idea is one stamp, repeat it, cuteness will ensue. So to see how to take a single stamp and create a fun pattern for your cards, stick around. That project is coming up next. Here's a look at the card I'll be creating in today's video, and look at that fun little pattern. Okay, I may have lied, I used 2 stamps, but the idea is the same. One basic image stamped and repeated all over a space. Let's take a look at the products I'm using today. I've got my Beachy Keen stamp set, and I'm going to be using the hats, a little bit of Neenah Solar White Classic Crest in the 110 pound, and today I'm going to use my stick and stamp mat from Brutus Monroe because I want to be able to stamp off the edges really clearly to see where I'm stamping, and I kind of thought this mat was perfect for that. So to make a pattern, I like to start in the center and go out from there, right? I'm going to tape my mat down just a little so that that doesn't shift while I'm stamping. And I'm going to start out with my first color. I just picked a handful of colors sort of in a rainbow order, but I'm not necessarily stamping them in rainbow order. You'll kind of see as it unfolds. But I'm transferring the first image down, and this is the Peony ink from Simon Says Stamp, and that looks gorgeous. I'll wipe off the stamp each time in between changing colors, and then also if you're doing something like this, make sure that the stamp is dry before you bring it back to your cardstock. And sometimes I'll just run my hand over it a few times, but what I'm going to do next is just move it and stamp it randomly all over this given space, and this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock. Once you get going, you kind of get a feel for it, right? And I am working in a rainbow order going down, and then I'm going to do the same going up. Now, you can get a little more funky than I did. Here, all the hats are upright, and it wasn't until I moved down just a little further when I thought, you could flip a hat, Kath. You don't have to be so, logical all the time. But flipping things doesn't really come easily to me, so I didn't really do it until the very end when I thought, oh, that's a good idea. And the whole point of it is just to make it feel a little more random. There you go. That's what we needed, the little flip. But here you can see these colors look great together, and I'm also going to be bringing in some of the Seafoam. Now that hat really got flipped, so, I'm very proud of that. I'm not going to lie. And the thing I like about this mat, again, is you can stamp right off the edge, get things exactly where you want, and then the mat cleans up really easily when it's done. So I popped a little more pink in just to fill out those corners, and I really didn't know how this was going to work with the greeting. I just knew I'm making a pattern and I'm going to worry about everything else next, right? We're going to let this go, and the first part of our pattern is done. Now the cool thing about this stamp set, it has a couple of images that are for 2-step stamping. You can line it up perfectly so that the outline is right in line with the image, but I love the slightly offset look, especially with black ink. So I'm using Simon Intense Black for this. Any black ink would be great, and I'm purposefully offsetting to get that sort of whimsical and wonky look. And I love that. Love that. I call it, well, it's a misregistration. That's what we would call it in the print world. The register is off and we're doing it on purpose. So the cool thing about this is it doesn't matter from hat to hat however wonky it is. You don't have to go in the same lower right offset. I kind of mixed it up. But just make sure, again, that when you clean your stamp and you bring it back to that panel, just make sure it's dry, because I had a couple times brought it in where it wasn't completely dry, and you can kind of see on the left side of the hat where when it's a little wet, it's going to transfer that ink a little bit less crisp than I wanted it to be. So do as I say, not perhaps as I do. But again, working my way around and just adding those outlines. I'm double stamping every time just to get a really nice inky black image. And coming around the mountain, we're almost done, and finishing off each one. Now I fully plan to crop this down, but I like to create the panel first, and actually this would be great just by itself as a full panel to glue down onto a prepped card base. That would be a fun idea, but for me, I'm going to trim it down. But look at that, just peel it back right from the mat, and look at that fun pattern. And that just took, 10 minutes. 10 minutes to a cute pattern. I'm going to clean off my mat with some of the Brutus Monroe Squeaky Clean Mat Cleaner, and it cleans off pretty well. Now this is Simon Intense Black, so I'm not surprised that it left a little halo behind, but that's fine because it's going to be great for my next project, and I'll put the little plastic acetate cover back on, and now we move on. So here's where I'm going to crop, and this is why I like creating my panel first and then figuring out what is the panel that I want to cut. And I love these dies for that very reason. And here I was trying to figure out what would be the best greeting, maybe sending a little bit of sunshine, maybe hello sunshine, right? Both would be nice. So first I'll cut this down, just run it through my die cut machine. And that will give me my beautifully trimmed panel for my card. And I decided to go ahead and stamp both greetings, just roll the dice. You can always have a backup. You can always use them for other projects, but I'm powdering up here with my anti-static powder tool, and I'm going to ink these up really well with Versamark, and that's just a scrap of the 110-pound Neenah Solar White. So I'll transfer that ink, give it a second, and let it really adhere to the cardstock. And nothing shifted, so I'm going to ink it up one more time just to get a nice smooth inking of the Versamark. There we go. For the powder today, I thought it would be nice to emboss with the Simon Says Stamp Ultrafine Antique Gold. Love this powder. I'll sprinkle it on, let it sit for a second and see how I did with my stamping. Tap it off. Then I'll go ahead and sprinkle just a little more on, get it coated up, and tap off the excess. Then I'll just funnel my powder right back from my folded sheet into my jar. It's easy. I only spill, well, occasionally. I have dumped the entire lot onto my work mat. So don't do that, but the paper thing works mostly like a charm. Here I'm melting the powder till it's all smooth, melted, and shiny goodness. I love both the greetings, but as you will see, I'm going to change my mind. Now I noticed, look at all that powder that I did not see. I figured I would die cut it first, and then if it was bugging me, I could erase some of it if it was still there. But after I cut them, I thought, well, they look fine. I'm not really going to worry about it. So don't worry if you get excess powder and you missed some. It's most of the time, it's going to be fine. They look great. Now, time to design. So I'm creating a white note card. This will be a top folding portrait orientation, and it will be a USA 2, so 4¼ inches wide by 5½ inches tall. Give that a good press with my Teflon bone folder. Now, here started to come with the problems. I played with this for a while before I started filming. I didn't like any of them. I thought, this is not what I want for this card. Here's what I want for this card. Sentiment strips. I love that they're black and white, and that's going to pick up on the black overstamping. And there's so many things to choose from. I could go with the larger greetings, I could go with the smaller greetings, and I thought Have Floppy Hat Will Travel was perfect. So I'm going to cut that out off camera with my sentiment label strip, and all I need to do here, just cut it in half, because I thought it would be cute to have it be stacked. So I'm putting it right by that comma and cutting, and then I'll just cut those close to the edge, lining them up here with my little guillotine trimmer so that they are perfectly trimmed. So now I've got these, and I'll grab my favorite marker for this next step, the Copic T10. I use this just to color on the sides of these because they are black ink printed on white cardstock, and I just drag my Copic marker over the edge just so that it looks like black on the edges. That way it gives that illusion that it has a black cardstock core. Optional step, but I always do this. I've got foam tape on the back, and I'm popping my panel. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. And now it's just time to play with my Have Floppy Hat Will Travel. Now, I was shifting things around and don't be afraid to move things all over the place, right? Take a look at it, step back, walk away. I figured that was a good look. So I have some Derice foam strips on the back here, and I'm going a little rogue here. I'm not even putting liquid glue down. I'm just committing and popping it down askew. Yes, I'm going at an angle, which I don't do very often, but I really thought this look was fun, right? And it just picks up the black outline stamp so nicely and really ties it together. I decided to add sequins as well. I love a nice silver confetti style sequin, and this added just a little bit of shine and kind of filled in some of the open space nicely. So we are, as they say, booping it up, and I'll do the last one, boop. I sped it up. That would have been too many boops. But that is the finished card project. And I love how this turned out. So if you have a single stamp or even a layering style stamp like this, break them out, pick one, and create your own cool, colorful background for your next card project today. To see another card I created with this stamp set, click on the thumbnail under Watch This Next. Also, I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel, and I've got another video over to the right that you might also be interested in. Thanks for watching, and I will see you back here with another card project soon.